Alright, do this. Okay, first method, factoring. We have our equation here, x squared plus 4x plus 3 equals 0. When you factor, you want to find two numbers that add to the b term and multiply to the c term. So in this case, two numbers that multiply to 3 and add to 4. In this case, these numbers are going to be 3 and 1. So our binomials would be x plus 3 and x plus 1. Then, to get real answers, set both these equal to 0. X plus 3 equals 0, x equals negative 3. X plus 1 equals 0, x equals negative 1. And there are your answers. Another example here, we have this equation x squared plus 6x plus 9 equals 0. Two numbers that multiply to 9 and add to 6, so it's just going to be 3. So x plus 3 times x plus 3, or it can be rewritten as x plus 3 squared. Then you want to set this to 0, so if x plus 3 equals 0, then x is simply equal to negative 3. Jesus Christ, way to all wake up at the exact same time. Our next method here, we're going to be taking a look at the square root method. So our goal for this method is to be able to take the square root of both sides. But first, since we have this negative 16 here, we have to move it to the other side to get x squared equals 16. Then we can take the square root, so x equals plus or minus 4. Another example now, this equation 2x squared equals 18. First, we divide both sides by 2 to get x squared equals 9. Now that we have a perfect square on the right, we can take the root to get x equals plus or minus 3. Next, completing the square. X squared plus 6x plus 5 equals 0. First, move the constant to the other side. X squared plus 6x equals negative 5. Then, create a perfect square trinomial. Take half the b term and square it. X squared plus 6x plus 9 equals negative 5 plus 9. Important to put it on both sides. Then, simplify the right. X squared plus 6x plus 9 equals 4. Then turn the left into a square term. X plus 3 squared equals 4. Then root both sides. X plus 3 equals plus or minus 2. Then solve for x. Negative 3 plus 2 is negative 1. Negative 3 minus 2 is negative 5. And those are your answers. Another example now, 2x squared minus 8x plus 6. As always, move the constant. 2x squared minus 8x equals negative 6. Then, divide by 2 because we can. X squared minus 4x equals negative 3. Then, perfect square trinomial. X squared minus 4x plus 4 equals negative 3 plus 4. Then simplify the right. X squared minus 4x plus 4 equals 1. Then turn the left into a square. X plus 2 squared equals 1. Then square root. X plus 2 equals 1, plus or minus 1. Then negative 2 plus 1 is negative 1. Negative 2 minus 1 is negative 3. Those are your answers. Next, the quadratic formula. Looks complicated, really isn't. Just plug everything in. First, we find our letter terms. A is the leading coefficient, 1. B is the second coefficient, negative 4. C is the constant, positive 3. Then plug everything in. In this case, negative 4 is positive 4 plus or minus the square root of 16. 4 times A is 4 times C is 12 minus 12 over 2. 4 plus or minus the square root of 4. 4 plus or minus 2. Then you divide 2 plus or minus 1. 2 plus 1 is 3. 2 minus 1 is 1. There's your answers.
Hey man, it's me, withered body. I wanted to teach you some quadratics. No? Okay, bye.
Another example now. 2x squared minus 8x plus 6 equals 0. Now A is 2, B is negative 8, and C is 6. Then plug in 8 equals plus or minus the square root of 64 minus 48 over 4. 8 plus or minus the square root of 16, so 8 plus or minus 4 over 4. Then we can divide 2 plus or minus 1. We've had this already. 2 minus 1 is 1, 2 plus 1 is 3. There are your answers.
I'm dead.
Final method is going to be our graphing method. Now, there are three key parts of a graph that we can determine just from looking at its standard form. The first one is going to be our direction. If you take a look at the a value here, you'll notice it's a positive 1. Because it is positive, we can determine the graph is going up. Then our vertex, plugging into this formula here, we have the opposite of negative 4 over 2 times 1 is just 2. Negative 4 divided by 2 is negative 2. Then the opposite of that is positive 2. Plugging this back into our equation yields 2 squared minus 4 times 2 plus 4. And this is going to come out to 0, so our vertex is 2, 0. Then the number of solutions on the graph that we have, b squared, is just going to come out to 16, minus 4 times a times c is also 16, and because this is 0, we can expect to have one solution or one x-intercept on the graph. Sure enough, if we take a look, our graph is going up, the vertex is at 2, 0, and there is one solution. Final example now, another one for our graphing. Again, our direction is just our a value. This is positive, so our graph is going up. Then our vertex plugging in here, negative 8 over 4. This is, once again, negative 2, but it's the opposite, so positive 2. Plugging this in yields 2 times 2 squared minus 8 times 2 plus 6. Then go ahead and simplify this. 2 times 4 is 8 minus 16 plus 6. So this is going to be 8 minus 10, or negative 2. So our vertex should be 2, negative 2. And finally, our number of solutions, b squared, is going to be 64. 2 times 6 is 12, times negative 4 is negative 48. And this is going to come out to positive 12, which is greater than 0. So we can expect two solutions or two intercepts on the graph. And sure enough, when we look, our direction is going up. Our vertex is at 2, negative 2, like we had predicted, and we have two solutions. Oh my god, I finally did it!